We have an exclusive first look at a poll about socialism versus capitalism, and it turns out that the ideas being pushed by such Democrats as Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez may have lots of support in their party, while capitalism isn't polling so well. Frank Luntz found in an online survey of 1,000 people that 52% of Hillary Clinton voters agree with the statement, "I prefer living in a socialist country to a capitalist one," compared to just 16% of Donald Trump voters. Asked about the AOC proposal to impose a 70% marginal tax rate on the top 1% of taxpayers, 79% of Clinton voters agree, and look at this, so do 46% of Trump voters. And veteran Republican pollster Frank Luntz joins us now. Before we get to more numbers, are the media kind of soft on socialism, by which I mean giving pretty favorable press to Democrats like Bernie Sanders and AOC, and while being pretty tough on the flaws of capitalism and the excesses of big corporations?
All you have to do is read the New York Times business section. Typically 7 stories, 6 of the 7 will be hostile to a corporation or hostile to capitalism as we know it. And in fact, it's gotten so bad that I've actually started to say to people, stop trying to defend capitalism. It's economic freedom. Capitalism, they think, is Wall Street. They think about profits. They think about people losing their jobs. Economic freedom is Main Street. It's small business. It's why we are so successful as a country. It has been so demonized, and frankly, the rich, the successful have been demonized. The assumption now is if you made a lot of money, you did so in an improper way.
Well, interesting. 45% of Trump voters in your poll say some companies make such big profits that it can't be justified. But what you're basically saying, I mean, you in this report say capitalism is dead, at least as a term that people respond to. That's a pretty strong statement.
And I'm going to get chewed out by Rush Limbaugh, but for the wrong reasons. It's not that the principles are dead. In fact, the principles of economic freedom are alive and well. But capitalism itself has been so demonized by the media that it just doesn't function as an economic system. And if you want to oppose socialism, you oppose it by talking about freedom, not capitalism.
But it must be more than just media coverage when you have, as I mentioned at the top, half of Trump voters supporting AOC's 70% marginal tax rate. I mean, and you wouldn't know that from the coverage. You would think it's purely a left-wing position.
It's because the public is really frustrated about being forgotten or left behind. And those two emotions which elected Donald Trump are alive and well, not just on the right, but also on the left. It's the reason why Bernie Sanders did so well in 2016 and why, I'll be blunt with you, I think he's the most likely nominee in 2020. And I'll tell you something. Republicans should want that because Sanders cannot appeal to the overall mainstream of the American people, and they should be scared to death if they get someone like Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, who there is no issue about socialism. He's not on the extreme, he's in the mainstream. But the reason why Sanders polls so well is because he is so left-wing.
I'm getting two things from this. One is because even the media have said some of the Democratic candidates have moved so far left, free college for all, Medicare for all, slavery reparations, that they would have a hard time winning a general election. But maybe they are in tune with what a lot of Democrats think. And secondly, you say, well, capitalism looks not great right now, and socialist ideas look, because of the media. That seems to, I mean, I'm a big proponent of media have a lot of influence, but do they have that much influence?
Media has significant influence, but yes, you're correct. The Democrats who have moved to the left are in tune with the Democratic Party. They're just not in tune with mainstream America. And this whole issue of capitalism, Republicans, frankly, need to wake up that what they believed was mainstream 10 years ago. But now the whole country is shifting just a bit to the left.
Now, no secret that Donald Trump could not stand you. He called you a low-class snob. You had this long-running feud. You said he's been. You said this is my job as a journalist.
I have my tie. I have a nice jacket on. Right. I paid a lot of money for this outfit.
I'm sure you did. You said he's been divisive. Now, because you're friends with Mick Mulvaney, the acting chief of staff, you've been providing advice. You got a ride on Air Force One. You went to one of the White House balls. Are you now an ally of this president?
I'm the same before as I was now. I did not deserve his criticism, and I do not deserve anybody's praise. My job as a pollster is to tell the truth, and is to be accurate at the end of the day. And whether the president is yelling at me because he doesn't like the criticism, or whether they're being nice to me because they appreciate the praise, doesn't matter. I have to be truthful. I have to tell the truth.
So but isn't there sort of a danger of softening your criticism because you like being on the inside?
The danger is if I respond either to to the praise or the criticism. The danger is if I don't report the numbers as they are. And this report, the language that I've looked at about capitalism is not going to make Republicans happy with me. I don't care. Saying something nice about Michael Bennett because he's a centrist does not make Republicans happy. Well, I got to tell the truth.
You always talk about language and its use in politics. I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day.
Yes, and you know what? The reason why I know you is because of my mom.
How's that?
And you may not even know the story, but when I was getting criticized by the Wall Street Journal, my mom says to me, find a journalist who you think is the best arbiter to find out whether you're correct or incorrect and go see them. And I said at the time it was you. This is 15, 20 years ago. You've been doing this for a while. And she says, go see him. I says, I can't. He's too important. My mom says, give me a break. Get over it. Go see him. And you were very kind to me. You gave me great advice. So on this Mother's Day, even though my mom's not with us, I thank you. And I'm sure she would thank you for giving me great advice.
Well, I still take your calls, and I try to be journalistic with you, but thank you. It's a very nice story. I never heard it. Frank Luntz, everybody.